Hi, I'm Scott Wrighton. I serve as the City Manager of Decatur, and every week it's our pleasure to produce a short little video about some new things going on about your city government. Now, the City Council had its meeting just a couple of days ago, and as is common and pretty routine at a lot of their City Council meetings, they do a lot of work, which is the basic stuff of making sure that we have a well-run government and that we keep up on services for you. For example, the City Council approved 2 bridges moving forward, one on Mound Road, one on Grove. They took some more steps to make sure that we had sufficient funding for lead service abatement programs. They approved a project to relocate a sewer, to authorize demolition of several structures, purchase some equipment. These are the things of running your city government. But I want to focus on 2 items in particular that I think might be of special interest. And they both have to do with redevelopment of certain parts of our city. The first is that at the City Council meeting last Monday on February 5, the Mayor and City Council approved an intergovernmental agreement with the Decatur Park District. And the reason we did isn't because we want to get into the park business. The Decatur Park District does that just fine. But there's a park over on the west side of the city called Garfield Park, just east of the former Garfield School at the corner of West Grand and Oakland Street, that the Park District has for some time now been thinking about how they want to revise it and basically rebuild it and make it much more modern, meeting the needs of park goers in that part of the city. Their plans require that they shed about 1/3 of that park's property, and because the city is working on a development project to repurpose the old Garfield School in cooperation with the Decatur Public Schools, and to repurpose some other property on the east side of that, we see this area, the area between Leafland and Grand and between Oakland and Van Dyke, as one more of our catalyst projects. A catalyst project is a high visibility, large project that can serve as a catalyst, as a sort of priming the pump, if you will, for private improvement in and around that same neighborhood. In the same way that the Johns Hill project, I think, has spurred a lot of private improvements to homes that are in that neighborhood. We're hoping the same thing will be true when we can repurpose the old Garfield School, put in some other development on the vacant parts of what used to be the playground area, integrate that into the work that the Decatur Park District is doing on Garfield Park, as well as make productive reuse of some land on the north side of the Decatur Housing Authority's property at the corner of Van Dyke and Grand. One large and high visibility catalyst project that we hope will help redevelopment in that part of the city, made possible by this cooperative arrangement between the city and the Park District. The other item that is directly related to improvement of the community, but totally different than the Garfield project, has to do with the Citizen Barnes building, or Barnes Citizens building in downtown Decatur. Now, that's 165,000 square feet of office space built in the 1920s for office space. The reality of the 2020s is that there is, across our country, not a demand for that kind of office space. And so the challenge that cities have throughout the United States, and certainly true in Decatur as well, is how do we repurpose buildings like that? Because if we can't be creative and think about new ways to repurpose them, then eventually they just sit there, but they become derelict, and they become demolition projects. And that's the last thing that we want to see is a building that is still in good condition, an icon in downtown Decatur, just become a vacant lot at who knows what cost to the taxpayers. And so Decatur is fortunate that there's a new owner of that building who has stepped forward, willing to spend millions of dollars to repurpose the inside of both of the buildings, both the tall one and the short one, for use as apartments, for retail, for a restaurant, and for a hotel. If it weren't for people willing to make those investments, it would be doubly difficult to rehabilitate and make productive repurposings of these buildings. And if we can't do that, then it's hard to take downtown Decatur, which already looks pretty good, to the next level and have even more activities, even more destinations, and more people living downtown, because that's what makes a downtown like Decatur's even more vibrant. And so the question was, should the city be helping out with the parking? The owner-developer is going to take care of everything else except that. And preliminarily, based on the results of whatever this feasibility study show, the answer is that the city is at least willing to examine that. Now, I'm sure that there's somebody in town who's going to say, well, why should the city be helping out a private developer with his project? He should pay for all of that himself. And the short answer to the question is that we don't want to continue to have a derelict building downtown. And without incentives, these old derelict buildings, or at least old vacant buildings, are not repurposed, are not used, have no economic value really, and that's not good for downtown. Furthermore, a parking structure also has some public value as well. So we're going to study, and that's all the City Council decided to do at Monday night, was to do a feasibility study on what it would cost to put back a parking deck to occupy the space of the one that was taken down 10 years ago because it was unsafe. How can it be designed in a way to augment and enhance, add value to the repurposing of the Barn Citizen building, and deal with other needs or demands that the city might have as it moves forward with downtown improvement. In city after city in this country, when you're dealing with these kinds of older buildings, if you don't want to just condemn them to be taken down, it usually requires several layers of incentives from the government to make these projects work, for there to be sufficient return on investment. So we're very pleased that there is a path forward, and that there is a developer here and an owner of the property willing and even excited to work with the city, and someone who has articulated a vision for this building, a vision that I look forward to sharing with the community later in the year. So stay tuned. We'll give you some more information about that in future videos. Thanks for tuning in.